I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, an extension of an online community for partners to connect and feel less alone. Our podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, and supporters of the industry to learn, laugh, vent, and hear stories about this incredibly unique way of life. What do you say? Let's dive in. Hola, mi familia de Partners of Commercial Fishermen. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for returning. I'm doing this entire episode in Spanish, so brace yourself. I'm just kidding. I'm not fluent yet. That is a goal of life. I digress. Thank you so much for coming back to this amazing community, this place, our little meeting place, our little fireside chat, if you will, of all things that has to do with the commercial fishing lifestyle, relationships, finances, mental wellness, advocacy, addiction, you name it. The list goes on and on. And today we're going to talk about a touchy subject, I feel, because it has to do with gaslighting. You've heard this term before. It's kind of a buzzword right now, and it has been for a while. But honestly, it's interesting how gaslighting can come up. And it's funny too, phrases that we may say may come off or might be phrases that are gaslighting phrases, and we might not realize it. And phrases that we hear also might be phrases that are gaslighting, and we don't understand that that's what's going on, and then we start feeling confused. And that's kind of what this whole thing is. And so I'm sharing this as kind of a PSA, kind of a here's how to navigate if you're in, not only if it's happening in your relationship, but if it's happening in a friendship, if it's happening with somebody you met, maybe it's somebody that you're talking to about commercial fishing. Things can come up where you feel like, why are you dismissing me right now? And this is not productive. These are great ways to get through it. And I'm going to share an example of a POCF who feels like her fisherman does not make time for her, even when they may have agreed to it. And this is more of a chronic situation. This isn't it's, things come up. We understand that things come up with the boat, something happens, you need to go work on it. But this is kind of a consistent trend within the relationship when maybe things could be worked on. She doesn't feel like a priority after everything that she does for him. For example, she says, I'm even buying holiday gifts for his family because I know he wouldn't do it. And so I just feel like he doesn't appreciate what I'm doing. In my head, I'm going, well, my therapist would say, don't you love it when conversations start like that or sentences? But honestly, my therapist would say, then don't buy them gifts. Like, that's not your family. The relationship between your partner and their family is not your problem. As much as you want to help, staying out of it is most helpful, because it's not only helpful for ourselves, but it's helpful and respectful for your partner and their relationships to work it out. Like, that's their deal, and sure, you might love people, you might love them and things like that, but to do all this work on your partner's behalf and feeling like you're not getting anything in return, just don't do it. Just don't buy the friggin' gifts already. I actually had a personal experience like this. When I was in therapy, I was talking about something in my life where I wanted to help somebody. I wanted to help two people have a better acquainted with their relationship. And it was really, really weighing on me. And my therapist said, that's none of your business. But whatever's going on between them has nothing to do with you. And I thought, well, it does, because it's really affecting me. And I feel that this is affecting my life in different ways. She's like, just let it go. You got to give them respect to work things out on their own timeline. They were put in each other's lives for a reason. That's their situation. And I cried. I was bawling, crying. I was like, I just feel so helpless. And I realized that part of that is my controlling personality that I have at times, to make sure that everything is as it needs to be. And that is not helpful. That is its own type of prison. Okay. Maybe people out there understand, I'm type A, but also I feel like that serves me. In some ways it doesn't. So learning the nuances of that has been my own journey. But hearing that from my therapist was really kind of a moment where I thought, okay, that is not my deal. And I thought, all right, well, I'm just going to try it and just kind of step away from this. And I felt so freaking free. I was like, man, I feel great not trying to have to manage other people's emotions. Like, first of all, who the heck do I think I am? I think for me, I was trying to feel safer. And I felt like being able to, quote unquote, help the other person or people was going to help. Deep down, it was going to help me feel safer. And that's not how to go about it. Things are going to happen in our lives that we cannot control. We hear that a million times, and we've experienced that, I'm sure, so many times. But understanding that we can control it is also extremely liberating. I'm going into this because I also want to share a part of a POCF experience that she also wasn't feeling heard. Okay. And so this is an example of gaslighting. I feel like I'm just like going from one to the other, but I feel like kind of getting context of what it's like to be so involved. You know, you want to help, you want to be so emotionally available to people. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe also we don't need to be, because that is too much. Honestly, we need to be emotionally available to ourselves. But the partner goes on to say, what bugs me the most is that when I'm trying to explain these issues to my partner, then the issue turns to become the issue turns into the woman being the main problem because she's, quote, complaining or whining. She said, no matter how calmly I am explaining the problem. And that really triggered me. And I'm thinking, why am I getting so triggered right now? Probably because I felt this way in the past with different relationships. And I don't want someone else to feel this way. That's me also going, how can I fix this? I'm realizing that I can't fix things. We just went there. But I'm wondering why I got so dang triggered. And I realized that, it's because that person is gaslighting her, saying, oh, you're just whining. It's always complaining with you. I can't ever have a conversation. It's like, okay, but your feelings are valid, and maybe there's a way to express it differently, but also no matter what you're feeling, it's okay. And dealing with someone who is gaslighting you can be incredibly frustrating and emotionally draining. And gaslighting, if you don't know, is a form of manipulation that makes you doubt your own perceptions, your memories, or reality. And here are some ways to handle a conversation with a gaslighter while protecting your mental and emotional well-being. Number 1, stay grounded in your reality. Keep reminding yourself of what you know to be true. Gaslighters try to distort reality, so trust your own perceptions no matter what. If need be, write things down before and after conversations to keep track of facts. I love writing things down. That's one of my favorite things is, okay, I'm going to have to talk about, I want to and need to talk about this important issue. I'm going to write down why this is important to me. I'm going to make sure that I understand what I'm trying to communicate. And I'm going to keep that so I understand, so I can stay on track here. Avoid getting defensive. Gaslighters often provoke emotional reactions to gain control. So stay calm and composed. I know that might be feeling really hard at sometimes, but just instead of arguing, use neutral responses like, that's not how I remember it, or I see things differently. That's putting you back into your power. That's not letting them go off and be like, oh, see, you're just overreacting and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's not how I remember it. I see things differently. Just stay calm. That's where your power is. You can stay calm. You might feel like you're getting really pissed or emotional or like feeling threatened. And that's okay to feel that way. It's just how we react and how we communicate that. So if you're feeling those feelings arise, be like, okay, well, that's not how I remember it. And it's interesting how whenever you're able to shift that narrative for yourself, even talking about it in that way, how the calm does come. Okay. And if the conversation, so this is number 3, set boundaries. If the conversation starts to become manipulative, calmly end it with saying, I will continue this conversation if you keep twisting my words. I'm not going to continue with this conversation if you keep twisting my words. Like ain't nobody got time for that. You don't have to over-explain yourself over and over again. Repeating yourself just gives them power. So you just say, I won't continue if you keep twisting my words. Number 4, use direct and clear communication. Keep your statements factual and concise. Don't get pulled into emotional tangents. Okay. This is where the power comes in. Instead of arguing, you say something like, I know what I saw and I'm not going to debate it. This is how it is. Don't seek validations from the gaslighter. They will likely never admit that they're wrong or acknowledge your perspective. This is number 5. Keep seeking their approval can keep you stuck. So number 5, don't seek validation from the gaslighter. Rely on your trusted friends, journaling your feelings, or a therapist to affirm your experiences. I actually did this recently with a business. I was actually working on this sponsorship with a company, and it got to a point where I felt that in the last conversation, I was kind of being gaslit. Like a little bit of miscommunication was going on there. And it was kind of like, well, you should be grateful because, and I'm like, what? Hold on. So in a sense, I was like, well, let me end this conversation as a professional, and I'll go back and look at my notes. So I did. I'm like writing out this agreement that I could do with them. And then I was like, I sent it. And then I thought, you know what? This just doesn't feel aligned right now. I don't feel valued. I don't feel like they understand the goal here of what I am trying to contribute and what I can bring value to their business. And I don't feel that my community is being respected. So I wrote an email not long after and said, you know what? After reviewing my terms, I realized that this just doesn't fit my needs at this time. Please let me know when your arrangement changes, and I'm, open to future opportunities. Want to keep the door open. I want to, who knows who I'll be speaking with in the future. But honestly, I was like, and then this is how I got affirmation. I spoke with I'm working with a group of mentors right now in Wilmington, North Carolina. They're amazing. It's with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Or Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, CIE. They might have these in different cities and states around your area if you're interested in kind of learning more about business or enhancing your business. The CIE, they are attached to different universities, and I believe that they are in different states and things like that. So I have been fortunate enough to work with a group of mentors, and we meet once a month so I can share with them what's going on with the Partners of Commercial Fishermen, because I want to make this community the best it freaking can be. I want this to exist in the world long after I'm gone. I want partners of commercial fishermen, and fishing families to feel supported. And I have big thoughts and ways that I want to do that. And so having this mentor team has really been helpful for me to figure out how to really narrow down and focus my energy on things that are going to be of service the most to you. And so I started off my second meeting with them last February. I said, so I want to share the story with you. And as I'm explaining the story, about 3 of them, their faces like contorted, like, what? And I thought, thank you for this validation. I just want to know that I'm not being nuts here, and I'm not coming from a place of scarcity of why I turned this deal down, and they're like, no, this is absolutely not. You did everything right. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for that validation. So my point is, don't seek validation from the people that you feel like are gaslighting or devaluing you. Rely on your friends, journaling, or therapists, or a group of mentors or something that you can affirm your experiences with, to be like, can you honestly tell me what did you do? And they're like, no, hell no, like, move on. It's all good. This is another thing. Control your reactions. Gaslighters thrive on controlling emotions. If you react strongly, they may use it against you. If you feel triggered, take deep breaths and pause before responding. Take deep breaths and you can say, I don't see it that way. I won't continue this conversation if you keep twisting my words. I know what I saw. I'm not going to debate it. You have the power in this. If you're talking about your emotions in a clear, calm, respectful way, you always have the power. All right. It's all about you. Exit the conversation if necessary. That's number 7. If the discussion isn't productive, disengage. You can say, I'm done talking about it, and walk away. Number 8, seek outside support. Talk to somebody you trust, a friend, a family member, a therapist that can help validate your experiences. We talked about this again before. But if the gaslighter is a close relationship, like a partner, a boss, or a family member, consider that professional advice and guidance on how to navigate it, because it's somebody that is in your life, and maybe you're not able to break ties as easily as you would a business deal, for example, or as easily as you would a friend group or a friend. Consider gaining outside insight on how to do that. So I also want to share some phrases that are gaslighting versus how it could be respectful. And honestly, I've read this and I'm thinking, wait, have I said some of this before? And if so, I don't want to come across like this. This is too much. Like, so here's a phrase, gaslighting phrase. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sure maybe you've heard this before. I have, and it pisses me the F off, okay? I'm like, don't apologize for my feelings, okay, number one. But this is how the person can say this. And maybe you've said this before and you don't mean to, but it comes out. I'm sorry you feel that way. That's a gaslighting phrase. What would be respectful is to say, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Be able to take ownership. Whoever it is, take ownership. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. A gaslighting response. That's not what happened. That is considered a gaslighting response. Instead, for it to be more productive and respectful, excuse me, you can say, that's not how I thought it happened. Let's talk about it further. Here's a gaslighting phrase. It's frustrating that you can't even take a joke, or you're too sensitive. I freaking hate that one. Okay. I've heard that before. You can't take a joke. I'm like, first of all, that's not funny if you're trying to say something that's hurting somebody's feelings, but I digress. The respectful thing would be like, it was meant as a joke, but it came across really wrong. That's how that person or you could take accountability for it. Here's another gaslighting phrase. You're just overreacting as usual. No, that's the gaslighting phrase. Instead, you can say, I now see that this is a very important issue for you. Let's discuss it further. Here's another gaslighting phrase. I guess I'm really just a bad partner. Oh my God, I've had a friend do this, the one that I don't talk to anymore, that you can listen to on the first episode of 2025. This was a text that she got. I'm sorry, I'm such a bad friend. I'm like, okay, what? Instead, what could have been a very respectful and productive for our friendship, I don't know if I would have gone back on the friendship, but instead of saying, well, I guess I'm just a really bad partner, say, what I did was wrong and I'm sorry. It's all about accountability. And, Chris and I have gone into conversations that we have, and whether it was gaslighting or not, I don't recall about certain specific instances, but I do remember something that we had just talked about where we were talking about making plans or something. And something came up where it was like, well, when I bring this up, sometimes I feel like you dismiss it because you said this isn't the right time. And then I said, oh, well, if I said that, I'm really sorry. I definitely don't want you to feel like you're devalued. And it was like, okay, let's move forward. So it was a way that I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to be like, I would never say that. Cause I don't know, maybe I did say that. Maybe I said it in a way that I didn't realize I was saying it in a gaslighty way, or maybe it was in a way that was feeling really disrespectful for him. And I'm like, I don't want to rehash the past on what I might have said or what I didn't say. If anything, I'm going to take ownership and move forward because I love him and I want him to feel respected as I want to feel loved and respected. And so making sure that we're able to own our shiz and own our sides of the street is super helpful. And so, yeah, this conversation today was kind of, I feel like maybe possibly intense in some ways. Like gaslighting is it's interesting how people can come across, whether it's your partner, whether it's a friend, family member, boss, someone you're talking to, if you're making a public comment, whatever it is, somebody in line at the grocery store, somebody that you've had an interaction with briefly. And you're like, wait, why is this happening right now? But there are ways to get out of it to protect your mental energy and to protect your energy overall, you beautiful person, because you don't deserve to feel disrespected. And also, if you feel like maybe, oh, okay, I feel like I've possibly done some of this in the past. Okay, even the fact that you're even owning that and understanding that is huge. And you're already going into your growth spurt of not wanting to do that anymore. Because if you're disrespecting somebody else, you're ultimately disrespecting yourself. Hurt people. That's what it comes down to. If you're not feeling really embodied, if you're not feeling that self-love that you're able to give yourself and honestly forgive yourself, if you're not able to forgive yourself, then you're not going to be able to forgive others. If you're judging yourself to the utmost degree and not being able to see that you are freaking human and you make mistakes and you're not willing to accept that, then you're going to judge others and it's not going to be helpful for anybody. And this is the human experience. It's not like we're going to one day wake up and be like, we are perfect members of society and human beings and partners and friends and daughters and sisters. It's like, this is an ongoing process. And honestly, it's kind of a beautiful way to live. The fact that we're able to have these opportunities to continue to grow and improve ourselves, because once we're able to take that accountability and improve and want to improve, there's going to be so many other opportunities and people and experiences that are going to open up to us because we're able to give that space for that growth, for that new love, for that new respect and energy and that amazingness that we all deserve in life. It all is about that mind shift and that heart shift and that emotional well-being that starts really with us. And I know that people might be like, oh my God, self-love, so boring, and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, we can call it something else if you want. But to be honest with you, it is all about that self-acceptance. And to be even more honest with you, because I always try to be as much as I possibly can, I've gone through some really dark moments in the past couple of years where I didn't really respect myself. I didn't love myself. And I didn't even know if there was a way that I could do that. I'm like, I'm not built like that. That's just not how it is for me. And I realized that, no, we're all born that way. We're all born with that self-love. Okay. And it's all of these maybe outside factors that come in to manipulate our frames of mind to make us feel like we're not enough, whether it's the media telling us that we're not skinny enough or more beautiful enough or whatever the hell it is, or people telling us that we're not smart enough to do this opportunity, which really is a projection of their own insecurities. And all of these things build up where we start to have this negative self-talk, but it's not real. We are not our thoughts. That's just something that we've been programmed, and we're just so used to thinking over and over again that it becomes a belief. But you can also change your belief. You can teach an old dog new tricks. It really just comes with practice, and it starts with becoming aware of it. And for me, it was just that practice of going, oh, well, I just don't think that this just isn't going to work out for me because I wasn't meant for whatever XYZ. Now I'm thinking, oh, wait, that thought just came up again, Megan. That's not actually true. How can I change this? So I use that. Actually, I was born for this and this is meant for me. And at first I was rolling my eyes like, this is so freaking cheesy. I can't even believe I'm doing this. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's that thought again. That's telling me that's cheesy. And it's trying to keep me stuck in these old patterns and belief systems that no longer serve me. That's why I got to keep practicing. I'm going to keep practicing and telling myself how amazing and how many opportunities are out there. And I deserve to have all the happiness and the love that I could possibly have in this existence as a world, because that is my right. And that is my born right as a human being. That is all of our rights. Not one person doesn't have it more than the other. It's just that one person might have more awareness and more ability to love themselves more than the other at that moment because they've worked on it. And that's all it is. And you can get there if you want to. It's just constantly practicing. And the practice comes with, if you're starting to spiral and hearing those negative thoughts, being able to catch yourself and repeatedly say, no, that's not actually true. And honestly, just switch the vibe, switch the narrative of that negative talk. Oh, I just don't think it's going to be possible for us to do this. Actually, I'm going to switch that. It is 100% possible, or else I wouldn't be here. That's why I'm here, to enjoy it. That's why I'm here. Everything is possible for you. It's just the fact that it has to start within our minds. We have to believe it, and we have to practice and retrain our brains in order to be able to accept it. And so that self-love, however we want to talk to it, however we want to call it, I don't know if you have an idea of how we can change that word, if you want, I'd love to hear it, because I hear you if it kind of feels like, oh my God, self-love, but honestly, self-love, love yourself. What does that mean? That means giving yourself grace. That means if you catch yourself going down a hole and maybe you're like, oh God, how did I get here? Forgive yourself. It's okay. Just get back up and try again. Know that you're not alone. There's people out there that are doing it every day. There's somebody talking to you right now on this podcast that is going through it every freaking day, working on it. And it's endless in the best way possible, because that's where the growth happens. That's where the new opportunities arrives whenever we're able to be open. I hope that this podcast episode has been helpful for you. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you want to slide into my DMs, I'm at Megan Waldrop, at Megan.Waldrop on Instagram. You can hit me up at support@POCFpride.com. And we can just keep the conversation between me and you, because I know this is kind of a legit conversation topic. But just know that no matter what, you are freaking valuable and you deserve all the happiness in the world. And that starts with yourself, and it starts with the relationship that you're in. And if you're in a relationship with a fisherman, you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be able to communicate your feelings in a way that feels respectful and that you're getting that mutual love and respect back to you. And I'm always going to cheer for you no matter what. Even if you're not a partner of a commercial fisherman, I'm going to cheer for you, because we are all in this together. Okay, y'all? No one is alone here. I hope you never feel like you're alone. I don't ever want you to feel like that, because I've been there and it sucks. It's like, yeah, it's not true too. If you feel it and if you're hearing that voice in your head saying, no one can understand what I'm going through, it's just negative thoughts trying to work its way through, and it's not actual reality. The reality is you are loved, you are valued, and you are not alone. With love and POCF pride, y'all. Till next time. Thank you so much for listening. To support our community, I'd so appreciate it if you'd tap the subscribe button to this podcast or write a review. And if you're a POCF who wants to connect further, go to POCFpride.com for weekly vlogs and to learn about opportunities to join our private communities. We'd love to have you.